that term yet, but today we are absolutely going to expand your thinking. We're going to help you to think much bigger than you ever have about client events, about how they can be done, more importantly, why they're done, and the results that you can get from them. Stay tuned, folks. This episode is going to blow you away. The big question is this: how do those of us in the real estate industry with crazy amounts of ambition, how do we think bigger than the building of our own empires? How do we simultaneously seek success and significance, income and impact? My name is Justin Stoddard, and this is the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. Welcome back to the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. Thrilled to be here with you, with a dear friend of mine, somebody who has become not only a friend, a client, but also a business partner. He's somebody who I greatly admire in life and in business. Brad Eaton, thank you so much for coming onto the show today.
You are most welcome. I'm super excited to be here, and I have a little bit of jitters of being here, even though we're such good friends, but I know what kind of a platform that you've built, and I'm honored to be on it.
Well, it's long overdue. I'll tell you what, I've been admiring your business for many years now. And just recently, what you've done has absolutely blown me away as far as what you've done with client events. And today's promise for everybody listening, as previously stated, is you're going to have your thinking absolutely expanded when it comes to what you could be doing to really connect with a larger group of people and in a much deeper way. So, Brad, let's talk about your background a little bit. I know you're a pilot. Just give us a kind of a quick rundown so people have some background on who is Brad Eaton.
Oh Lord, I think that in our industry, I think that that's because we all come in with a different background, and we should, because our clients deserve more than just us to, be just their agent. I came into the industry, or came into the working life. My parents owned a rock quarry out here in the Pacific Northwest, and so I grew up in that industry. So I grew up in management and leadership and teamwork, and I didn't ask any of my colleagues or our employees to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. And so I started with that excavation, underground construction background that I worked at a very high level until I trained my own replacement and got out of the operations management of the rock quarry and transitioned into real estate. But the prior career was actually going into commercial aviation. And so I've got all of my licenses and credentials to be a commercial pilot, got 1,100 hours and own an airplane, have for many, many years. But the industry didn't pay. The local regional airline offered me $28,000 a year to become a pilot for them. And I laughed at them and I said, I'm making twice that now in construction. Why would I ever do that? And so I decided that I needed to figure out how to make my own ticket. And my wife, Michelle, had been an agent since 2004. And I said, I think that my possibilities and my potential is so much bigger. And so we ventured into real estate together. And it's been a heck of a ride ever since.
Really cool story. I don't know that I've heard all of that. And we spent a lot of time together. So super interesting. So let's talk about the way that both you and I believe in doing business, right? You had just shared a story with me about people reaching out to you from a cold market standpoint. Now, we all know that if you put enough money into that machine, if you make enough calls, you will eventually get to where you want to go, right? Our only question that we share is, what about the 97 people that didn't want anything to do with that phone call and you interrupted them and it was a bit of an inconvenience and potentially difficult on your own reputation when you're going that path? Again, not downing anything, just you and I believe that there's maybe a better way to go about doing this. But share with me the example that you just shared. I think it's powerful people to understand when you're on the other side of the table, when you have people soliciting you.
So, all right. So I've been selling a couple of our last pieces of heavy equipment at the rock quarry, and so in that process, I've been getting reached out to by people that would like to market on a bigger scale what our equipment looks like and get it out there and get it in front of people. And so just as we were in the process of prepping for the interview, I was telling the story. that I'm getting telephone calls literally 3 and 4 times a week. They don't have any relationship with me. They don't know me. They just want my money. I'm just a transaction. They want to quote unquote help. But the question is, do I believe them? Do I trust them? Absolutely not. And I'm in the sales industry. And so it gave me a really great reminder of why that, in my opinion, is an absolutely terrible idea. You need to start with trust in a relationship, and not just by picking up the telephone and doing cold market. And if you do cold market, you need to transition them into a real relationship where you actually are somebody that they know, like, and trust, and actually have, intention to be super helpful.
The interesting thing about what you're saying right there, I know that there's a lot of big thinkers that are going to hear this. They're going to say like, yeah, guys, okay, I agree with you. I would love to do warm market, but I'm a bigger thinker than that. And I'm very limited when I go warm because I can only have so many relationships. And that's where today's episode comes in so beautiful. My mind was expanded when you invited me to your client event, which happened to be a fireworks show. Now, I went because of our relationship. I thought I'm going to go support Brad. Like, I don't want to have like too few people there, right? This is me being super transparent. And I get there and I'm like, okay, this is right in the thick of COVID, right? Like 2020. And it had been delayed a little bit because of, the state in which we live, whatever. And we were, I was at that, and I was like, in fact, my family was at town. And I told my wife afterwards, I said, I just saw the best fireworks show I've ever seen. And it was like out in someone's field, like in their backyard. It was unbelievable. And she's like, really? Yeah. And I said, get this. And Brad told me that it was a fraction of what they normally do. Fast forward to this past year, me and my family attend again. No COVID restrictions. It's there in full force. And me and my family and some distant relatives who were visiting from out of town sat there with our mouth on the floor. Like, that was the most incredible firework display. Now, you don't need to share with us necessarily how much you like pay to put that whole thing on, but it was better than any large scale firework display that I've ever seen. And the crowd that you brought was unbelievable, Brad. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. So I don't know if you want to share any details around that, about maybe going back to the point of our flow with this episode is the why. Why do you do that? Let's start with that.
Well, I learned a while ago through a whole bunch of just regular life experiences that if you want to do something that is unchallenged, you have to do something that is unchallenged. And we need the ability to build relationships at mass scale, quickly, effectively. And how do we do that? That's the magic. How do we do that? Well, we can pick up the telephone. We can try the cold market ways. We can try that stuff. It works, but it doesn't work well. And it's not genuinely who Brad Eaton is. Brad's somebody that's super genuine, super passionate. And if I want to do something, I should do something that I'm already going to do anyway. Something that I enjoy. Well, I've thrown a 4th of July fireworks party for 15 to 20 years. Why? Because I like doing that stuff. Brad likes explosives. And then some of my clients might not know that. I like blowing things up. Well, there's a way to do it legally, and you can start your own 4th of July fireworks show that's legal and done the right way. And we have all of that. We have credentials and licenses to do all of that kind of stuff. But the reality is the other agents that are on this call that are listening, there's other things that you might not want to blow things up. You might not want to go shoot guns. You might not want to do this, but you might be passionate about cycling. You might be passionate about running. You might be passionate about giving back and volunteering in the community, or, walks or runs for different causes. Well, that's what you need to do. Well, what I do is I'm passionate about me, and I'm genuine about who I am. I want to attract my people. Well, I'm going to attract my people by being Brad. And so I be Brad, and that's what I do. And so we bring regularly 500 to 500 people to our event. And then I talk for about 3 to 5 minutes, mostly giving thank yous, but saying, hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. And I let I let the background, of course, I'm in a nice listing right now. This is not my house, by the way, but I'm in a nice listing right now. And I let the background speak for me. Well, in that display, I'm letting the fireworks do the job. And we put on an absolutely incredible show. And it's exorbitantly expensive. But the reality was, I was pretty much going to do it anyway. So I might as well invite as many people as possible and then do a Walt Disney where I create a memory with them. If I create a memory with them, they'll never forget. They'll never forget what their agent did for them, and they know who to call. Because if my fireworks display is any representation of what my marketing looks like for their listing, I've won. I've won more than any marketing could ever buy.
That was something I was fascinated with at the event, is that you had shared that if you were impressed with the way that we put on this fireworks show, which everybody was, then you can know that that's how seriously we take the selling of your home, the staging of your home. And it was a point really well taken. So I love that, Brad. So that's really why you're going to do this stuff anyway, right? Now you've found a way to share that joy with more people, crowdsource the attendance and the people inviting other people into your world, crowdsourcing how it gets paid for, right? Because now these people are to you, they realize that, hey, this is above and beyond. That's impressive. Of course, we'll use him and refer him in real estate. Pretty cool. Any other thoughts you want to share on that one before we get into this even more impressive event that you do on a very recurring basis?
So just be passionate, be genuine about whatever it is, because people can smell when you're not being genuine. And it's true. We've all been in the used car scenario, and not saying that anybody's used car salesman is terrible, but you get the idea, right? They can smell when you're not being genuine. Just be you, and just be 100% you. And if the marketing that you're doing or the client events that you're doing aren't really you, or they're not something you're crazy passionate about, then find something that you are crazy passionate about and do it. And if you want to see what we did, you can find a couple of our videos of our 4th of July. Not that it's going to do me any good, but you can kind of get an idea. Search Brad Eaton and then Butteville's Rockets by the River. Butteville.
I love it. We'll put it in the show notes. You're going to be blown away. All right, Brad, let's move to this next one, which I believe, again, is far more impressive than the extremely impressive fireworks show, which is the weekly, let me emphasize this again, weekly client and community event that you put on that includes over 200 people who, by the way, from that event, you have almost 800 new people that have come into your database and who gladly receive 2 emails a week from you and thank you for it. Now, hopefully all of you are like, wait, what? Did I hear that right? A weekly client event? Yes, a weekly client event where 200 people show up week after week after week, right? Now that we have everybody hooked and they're like, what in the world are you doing on a weekly basis? Walk us through what you're doing, Brad.
Well, I don't know. Why don't you walk us through what we're doing? You're the one who came.
That's true. That's true. My wife have been regulars, and here's why: is that Brad decided to solve a problem, and the problem was that I'm left-footed. I have 2 left feet. I'm actually not left-footed. I have 2 left feet, and she's always wanted to dance, and I've never taken it seriously. Well, Brad said, why don't you come out? I'm hosting a community dance lesson every week. It's at the best dance hall in the Portland metro area, and he rents it out with the help of some sponsors, and they invite the entire community to come in for free. Now, Brad previously, it didn't make the bio, owned a dance company where they would actually go on cruises and teach people how to dance, an entire dance community, sold that business. So now I've asked Brad, what would you do if you didn't have to do real estate? What's exactly this? He'd host massive fireworks shows and he would get big groups of people together to teach them how to dance. Folks, this is the key, is that it's not, you don't have to invent something new that you think people are going to like. What do you like? And what's the biggest way that you can add that back to the community? So again, at this dance hall, Brad has, for the first hour, he teaches those that are beginners. I'm like a forever beginner. And teaches us how to dance. And then those continue on for the next several hours. And more people who are more expert show up. And the entire dance floor is filled with people that are either learning how to love dance or already love dance. And it's very classy. It's very well done. And people are gladly coming in the door, their contact info. And Brad, meanwhile, is making his way around the room, helping people dance, making connections, building relationships. Again, going back to the point that we were solving before, is that just because it's warm market doesn't mean it has to be small. It doesn't mean it has to be small. You can go big and be warm market. You just have to be creative. So that's my interpretation of what's happening there. And I get the emails every week and I'm like, oh, cool. I'll go in and watch and like get some tips, remind myself I need to get better, all this stuff. It's amazing. So anyway, anything else you want to add to that, Brad, as to why you're doing it, how you're doing it, what's happening there that I may have missed? Please do. Please share.
So as we do that, it's phenomenal, and you know, I could have shared, but I it's always more fun to hear other people talk about it, and we have regularly. Last week we had, for our Halloween party, we had people come in costume. We had 165 people there. The week before we had 200. The week before that we had about 220 people there, and we're collecting contact information for all of them. We're not doing nasty smarmy advertising. We're just sowing great seeds of amazing people doing things that they're passionate about, giving them the opportunity. And COVID is still in the rear view mirror. It's not that far away, and in some cases and instances it's still right here with us. But the reality is, how do we get beyond where we're at now to where we're going? And we do that by genuinely connecting with large quantities of people at the same time in a way in which they want to be connected with. When we're doing Google AdWords, when you're doing, the Zillow leads and that kind of stuff, that's not necessarily people that really want to be connected with. They wanted to look at a listing, but they don't want to be hounded, like I am with the equipment sales guy. I don't want to be hounded. I look at his number come up on my phone and I'm like, talk to you later. But when we're doing what we're doing, we've got all those people in the database. And guess what? I've had 6 people unsubscribe. 6. When was the last time you bought leads and only 6 people unsubscribed? 6 out of 800. And yet we're sending them stuff twice a week, not about necessarily real estate, but about what they're passionate about. And you know what? I'm out there and I'm teaching. The last lesson I was teaching 80 myself. I'm teaching 80 students, and you're like, okay, wait a sec, hang on, time out, Brad, time out. Wait a sec. I don't know how to teach dance. I'm going, well, neither did I. I learned to dance 10 or 12 years ago. I didn't really want to teach. I hired the best instructor in the Portland area, brought him in, and the group got so big. He goes, you've been my student for 12 years, time for you to teach. Well, guess what? Now I'm teaching the beginning lesson. He's teaching the intermediate lesson. I don't really want to teach the lesson, but I'm doing it because I need to, because I have to, because I'm the host of the event. It's my job. It's my job to cultivate people in the best opportunity that they can. And they love it. And they come around every single week and say, I can't thank you enough for doing this. You're changing my life. You're introducing me to new friends. I'm making new connections. I'm getting physically active. I'm having fun. We're changing people's lives because they're so in the COVID headspace of people are, I'm going to get something from people instead of I'm going to give something to people. You guys want to be the difference. You want to make a difference in your real estate market, then make a difference in how you're connecting to everybody every single day. And be the difference that you want in the community. And that's what we're doing.
It's so good. Oftentimes, I think where we get hung up in whatever business we're in is we stay in our little silo of this is what we're living. And so I'm going to look all day long for people that need that thing, right? Whether we know warm market or cold market, that's our sole focus. Whereas if we just expand outside of that a little bit to say, what are concerns do people have? It's not just finding a house. Maybe it's finding a community, right? Maybe it's actually connecting and building relationships to where they're not just happy in the house they live in, but in the community that they live in. And I would ask everybody who's listening to this right now, I'd encourage you and invite you to think a little bit bigger about what you're doing with your client events. Picking up pies is an awesome thing. I hear a lot of people doing that. For 40, 50 people seems like a massive event. I would challenge you to say, is there more that you could do on even a more recurring basis to add even more value to people that you might say, I would do this anyway, right? Whether you said, Brad, whether it's whether it's dancing, whether it's some sort of charitable contribution, just be a leader. This economy in particular, and this industry is requiring more and more that we aren't just good practitioners at the work that we do, but that we are leaders. That's what people are looking for, someone who can lead them. And I love the way in which you're doing this, Brad. Any final thoughts for the audience today as we wrap up this episode that have ways that it's enhanced your business and your life, or anything else you want to share?
So when we're at any of these events, whether it's the 4th of July, whether it's out dancing, when I go around and just talk to people and dance with people, or just mingle at the fireworks show with people, you know what they're talking to me about? Hey, I'm thinking about selling. Hey, I know somebody that's thinking about buying. I'm not even bringing it up. I don't even have to. I just go around and I be me, and the conversations come, the leads just show up. And as I was kind of prepping for this, I was, one of the books I carry around in my bag is right there, 17 Invaluable Laws of Teamwork by John Maxwell, right? And so the book is written for and about building a team. So if you're building a real estate team or whatever, but I'm challenging you. I'm going to challenge all of you guys today to take things and resources like this and say, okay, how can I build a team out of my clients? How can I build all of them into team members that are on board, that are showing up and volunteering and being a part of what it is that we're doing? Our 4th of July event, we have 50 people who come and volunteer to be a part of what it is that we're doing. And on our Thursday night social dance and dance lesson, we've got well over 25 people a week that are volunteering, and people that are regularly saying, how can I be a help? How can I help? How can I be a part of what you're doing? I see the vision of what you're doing. I see that you're teaching and instructing the dancers of the future, and you're removing cost as a hurdle to entry. And just go out there and do it. Go dream a little. And yeah, it's going to cost you money, but anything good is expensive, and the return is always tenfold.
And it's beautiful to hear, right? For those that are saying, how in the world does he afford this? How does he do this kind of stuff, right? As we mentioned before, there's other sponsors that come in, but also people feel a good obligation when you're solving more concerns than just, can you help me buy or sell? Now, Brad does that as well as I know, but you have to recognize that the magic of what he's doing here isn't just that he's a better realtor, right? He's inviting people into a community. He's inviting them to be a part of it, not just to come and consume, but to come and contribute, to be a part of something much, much bigger than themselves. And it's a full thing to take this industry and think about the possibilities of what you could be doing, taking your passion, what your unique perspective is on the world, your unique background and experience, and say, how can I make the community a better place because of that? Because of taking that and expanding it through the lens of, let's think bigger about this. How do we touch more lives? And in the process, you take a scalable business that is warm, which very few people figured out how to do. I love that you've done this, Brad. Let me ask you one final question here, Brad, which everybody that comes across this stage gets the opportunity to answer this question, which is, you are a big thinker, right? You've proven that to us here, and your whole history proves that to us. What does Brad Eaton do to continue to be a big thinker, to continue to end your possibilities?
Man, I am a personal growth junkie. I love it. But the reality is, I think a lot of people read and they listen to podcasts like this, and they read great books like John Maxwell and other great authors out there. The Compound Effect is one of my favorite books, because that's what we're doing. That's what all of these client events are about. They're about the compound effect. Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. Those who understand it will profit. Those who don't will pay it. That's Albert Einstein quote, right? And so compound interest, but there's also compound effort. And that compound effort is in how you think bigger. That's how you invest into yourself, into your own mind, and how your potential can grow exponentially because of what you're putting in on a daily basis. And so I'm always feeding in. I'm always listening to podcasts. I've got audiobooks while I'm in the car. I'm always growing. I'm always thinking. And then I'm in community with great people like Justin all the time going, hey, had a wild idea. I was kind of thinking about this. What are you thinking? You know, what are the pitfalls? What are the opportunities there? And I'm just growing every single day. I am not the same person yesterday that I am today, and I'm not going to be the same person tomorrow. And I am here to leave a legacy for my family, but also for my community and for the world in which I live in. And so that's my mission, and I'm very passionate about it. And when you get passionate about the why, then the what and the how are just going to show up along the way.
And something that I have to highlight there, because if people weren't listening carefully, they might have missed that, is that you are a personal development junkie, but you also, not only do you invite people into a community, but you look to be a part of other communities. You know, proximity is power. When you can be around other big thinkers, that's exactly why Brad and I have gone into business together in the real estate space. If anybody's interested in talking about that, just tap us and say, what do you mean? But we've done that because we recognize that synergistically, he and I together, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, equals 3 or 4. And the energy that we thrive by being around each other and running with each other's ideas is exciting. So it's not a matter of just developing yourself, as Brad described and as illustrating, that it's a matter of being close to those people, even in partnership with those people, which allows you to be a much bigger thinker and bigger achiever than you would otherwise. So, Brad, such a pleasure, buddy, having you not only in as a friend and as a partner, but also in being someone who I learn a ton from. So thank you so much for all you've contributed to the show today. I'm going to check here really quickly. Yeah, we have some really cool comments coming in here. We appreciate those of you that have participated. If you're listening to the podcast, and you're interested in learning more, please DM me. You can find me on Facebook or Instagram. Happy to answer any questions. Also, be watching for, if you're not yet on my email list, please reach out to me and we'll add you on there, which will give you access to the golden nuggets of this show, things that you can begin to apply directly into your business. And so please reach out, be sure that we stay connected so that you become a part of our community, not just learning from afar, but learning by getting in proximity with us. So appreciate it very much. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. And Brad, my final request of everybody listening here today, which I know you would echo this, are 3 simple words. You know what they are? Go for it, Brad. What are they?
Go think bigger. Thanks, everybody.
I love it, buddy. All right.